Hey guys, Chris from Hockey Tutorial here, and today in this video we're going to be taking a look at my home custom hockey setup. Now, when we take a look at my home setup, I like to keep things pretty much as straightforward as possible. It doesn't look like that at a glance. It looks like there's a lot of kind of effort and work that's gone into setting this up. But believe it or not, it's something that you can essentially set up in about an hour, excluding the time to lace a brand new net, if you haven't done so already, or you don't know what I'm talking about. If you have, trust me, it takes a while. Anyone that's done this can relate. But building the actual setup that I have only takes maybe an hour or two to do if the goals are already ready. Now, when we look at what I have, probably the most desirable and obvious thing that's going to be different to most people's home setups is going to be the synthetic ice. Now, if you're wondering what synthetic ice it is, it's Glice. Now, right now, the panels that I have are actually prototypes. I didn't actually know this at the time of getting them from Glice, so a big thank you to Glice Hockey for getting us these synthetic ice panels. But of course, there's going to be a full in-depth video coming out on them after I've had a little bit more time to use them, so stay posted for that. But these are very unlike anything else that we've seen from Glice because they're locked together in sort of like a puzzle style, which is a way of locking synthetic tiles or panels together that we've seen from other manufacturers. But the difference is these are very, very high quality synthetics. Any other synthetic ice that you've seen that looks similar because of the puzzle system, this is 10 times better than anything that you guys can imagine. And I'm not just saying that because I have them, it's fact. But aside from that, it's also significantly thicker than any of the other puzzle panels that you may have seen that you can skate on. But of course, full-on video coming on that later on as we get more time to use them. And of course, if you're wondering how big the ice setup that I have is, it's roughly 10 meters by 4 meters. So in terms of having a good enough space to stride, to be able to work on shootouts, to work on general shooting, stick handling, even having somebody else on there, whether it be my son or whether it be a friend, there's enough space on there to have a couple of people having a good time or training. So it's, for what I need, the ideal size to have. And I've got it just in front of my house on my drive, but I still do have enough space to park another car. But I'm not gonna lie, it has taken up quite a bit of space. This isn't a size that everyone has to go for. Just based on the length of my drive, the fact that I can normally put about 4 or 5 cars on the drive normally, I thought why not use the majority of it to be able to set up a nice setup, especially because of what's going on in the world right now. So food for thought, that's the size that I've got because it works for me. So from there, the other thing that I have that's probably a bit unusual is the fact that I have 3 different nets. All of my nets are from Winwell. In my opinion, I think Winwell make the best quality hockey nets that you can get as a consumer. The first one that I have is your traditional 72-inch goal with a backstop. All of these nets were purchased from Puck Stop, so bear that in mind if you're wondering where you can get these particular nets that I have. The one with the backstop I've put facing downwards on my drive because if I miss the net, which does happen often, that's where the puck's going to go onto the backstops and it's not going to go flying down the road or hit one of my neighbor's cars, so that's ideal. The other 2 nets that I have are Winwell's skill nets. I've done a video on these separately that I'll link down below and also up above, so if you want to check those out to get a bit more information on them. But they're very unusual looking nets in the shape of, you could say, like a W. One of them has 5 individual circular nets, and it's my favorite net out of the 3 that I have because shooting on your own or shooting with someone or even playing horse with someone like I played with Josh a couple of days ago, it's just so much fun. It's addictive. You're working on actual skills that are transferable onto the ice. But most importantly, when training doesn't feel like training, that's the best kind of practice that you can ever get. And that's exactly what I feel like that net achieves. Whether you're using it on synthetic ice or you're using it with inlines and shooting at the net with a ball or with a wraparound on your stick with pucks, great time with either of the 2 skill nets. The other one, again, still in the shape of kind of like a W, a bit untraditional. I tend to not use this one as much purely because of the ricochets that you get from this net, but I'm still trying to figure out the best place to put it to avoid breaking any windows or denting cars. But again, it's still a lot of fun to be able to use. Now moving on to the actual surface of the ice itself and what I have on there. I've roughly got about 110 pucks that I circulate between. Sometimes I lose some in hedges or they go over fences, so I do have to pick up more of those. I think I started off with 150, but I'm down to roughly about 110, 120 pucks. They're not anything fancy, just regular standard traditional hockey pucks. I don't use any kind of special weighted pucks or lighter pucks. I just keep it plain and simple. In terms of the rebounders that I'm using Hockey Revolution's rebounder just because it's a great size, and the largest rebounder that they do is not only double-sided, but it also has rubber grips on the base of its feet, so attaching it onto synthetic still works. You don't have to worry about it sliding or moving back too much when you're ripping pucks off of it. It's a good size for when I'm using by myself or with my son or with my friends when they come down to the rink. It just does what I need it to do, and it's very, very simple because I can pick it up and put it down without having to worry about attaching anything to it. So nice and simple. Now, when we move on to my skates and my runners, this doesn't seem like a big deal. Although this is high quality synthetic, it's worth mentioning that if you have good quality steel, that goes a really long way. I either use Bionic or Step. The reason that I'm currently using Step is because my Bionic runners are blunt and I've just not been able to sharpen them. The machine I have at my office isn't working right now, so I've had to reach out to our good friends at Puckstop to be able to get some more runners sent from them. They sent me a pair of Step steel which were sharpened when they arrived, so I can literally just put them straight on my skates and jump straight onto the synthetic. But what I meant by having good quality runners is because essentially if you have good quality steel on your skates, it's going to be able to withstand just general wear and tear of using them much better than the traditional runners or steel that you get on hockey skates. It also helps to hold the edge a lot longer, and that goes a very long way when you're training on synthetic, because although high quality synthetic doesn't destroy your blades like bad quality synthetic does, it's still going to take its toll. So if you have good quality steel and they're sharp, they'll hold their edge longer and they'll perform better on this particular surface. Slightly unrelated, but I've had a couple of questions about why I'm using the FT1 stick and the FT1 skates when you guys know that we have the AS3 and also the FT2 skates. Reason for that is purely because if it isn't broken, why fix it? It works for me. I don't see the need to switch up into a brand new pair of skates just for the sake of getting a brand new pair of skates. These are the skates and also blades that I use on proper ice, so I just kind of bounce between the two. Until one breaks or one stops working the way it should, that's when I'll replace it. But I don't always feel the need to just jump onto the latest and greatest for the sake of it, especially if what I have works just fine. But something that I do switch through quite quickly is the gloves, and I'm always just trying to find good gloves that can stop essentially that from happening when you're shooting and you get blisters on your hands. Right now I'm using a pair of custom CCM gloves that were made for me by Marco at the CCM customization team back in Montreal, so big thank you for those. They're still the gloves I'm using now. If you're wondering about the gear that I'm using while I'm on there, that's pretty much it. But you'll notice there's not really a whole lot on here aside from pucks, rebounders, synthetic ice and some golds. I don't think that you need to go crazy with training products, but of course what you're working on may be different. You might want to have like a object on the ice to be able to stick handle around. I do have the My Enemy system from Hockey Revolutions to be able to stick handle through, but I don't use it as much as their rebounder and just a net. I particularly like to work on kind of like receiving a pass off of the rebounder and ripping a shot straight on the net to work on my reaction and my accuracy. But what you work on will be different to what I want to work on, and that's why this setup is so functional for my needs. But don't go too crazy with your own setups, with your own training aids. Only buy what you feel like you're actually going to use, and that's what I've tried to do here. I've not just gone mad and gotten everything for the sake of it. This is very functional for my needs, so hopefully this helps to shed a bit of light onto what I use when I'm away from the rink and when I'm at home training. As always guys, a big thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. Hopefully this sheds a bit of light onto the things that I use at home. Remember, don't go too overkill. Don't always buy things just for the sake of it. Get what you actually feel like you're going to use. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you can stay up to date with all of the videos that we post. And of course, all of the products that I've discussed in this video will be linked down below. So if you want more info on them, all of the links will be down below. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. That's the talking bit done.